Hello and welcome to another wonderful episode of As the Skeleton Keep Turns. Of course, as always, we are looking for an affiliate program. So if the listeners out there know an affiliate program like Christina found, that would be absolutely wonderful. Or if you know anyone who wants to sponsor us, or if you have an online shop, if you have another podcast, if you have a YouTube channel, a Facebook page, you create stuff, let us advertise you. That's right. We will advertise you, the listener, as long as it's a legitimate business and not some like weird shit that goes on. Like as long as you're not like Jeffrey Dahmer in it, like getting people to hear. We don't do that. That's not what we do. We don't want to be framed for murder. We're good. But if you do have someone or know some company who wants to help sponsor us, please let us know. Please, for the love of God, let us know on our Facebook page. Please, 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 please. We'll love you forever. We'll give you cookies and tacos. Just cookies and tacos. I'm the cookie, she's the taco. So, anyways, so we're going to get into this episode. Of course, today is all about secrets. Secrets, places, things, societies. Secrets held beyond what we know. Secrets that people have been found dead for. Secrets that are just places you shouldn't find. You just shouldn't stumble up on them, or you shouldn't go actively looking for them. So I have to preface with this episode, please, whatever you do, if you go to any of these places, we do not condone this. Be safe, be smart, be wise. Do not go looking for these places. You can and or will get arrested and or charged with trespassing, which is not great. And the world's already fucked up enough, so I don't need it fucked up anymore. Thanks to our podcast, so just be smart. If anything, YouTube it. Just YouTube it, TikTok it, Facebook reel it, whatever. Just don't go there. All right. On that note, of course, I am your host, Gray. I'm always joined by the lovely and wonderful Christina.
Hello.
And today we will be exploring. And with that, I kick it off. As always, gentlemen's honor, ladies first.
So tonight we're going to travel into the shadows like you said earlier. Our journey will take us across Ireland into the mist-covered hills of England and finally westward to California. To places whispered about for centuries, places tied to secrecy, ritual, and rumors of power hidden just out of sight. Secret societies have always lived in the dark corners of history. From Skull and Bones to the Illuminati, conspiracy theories are filled with stories of powerful people gathering behind closed doors, performing rituals, making sacrifices, and climbing the social ladder through forbidden means. Even today, rumors swirl about elites, royalty, and celebrities engaging in dark bargains and secret cabals, even more now than ever. But to understand where these stories began, we have to go back to the 18th century Europe. And no, this isn't the Hellfire Club from Stranger Things. This was real, or at least parts of it were. The truth lies somewhere between history and the horror. So the original Hellfire Club is believed to have been founded in 1719 by Philip, the first Duke of Wharton. He was loud, reckless, and infamous for pushing every social boundary of his time. What he created was, on the surface, a gentleman's club, a place where aristocrats could drink, joke, and rebel against the strict religious rules of the era. But behind closed doors, these men mocked Christianity openly. They dressed as monks and priests, staged blasphemous parodies of religious ceremonies, and indulged in every vice they could imagine: drunkenness, gluttony, lust, and pride. The Hellfire Club became known as one of the most evil groups in England. Public outrage grew, and in 1721, after complaints reached the crown, King George ordered the club shut down. Officially, the meetings ended. Unofficially, the fire never really went out. Philip continued this lifestyle until his death at just 33 years old, possibly drinking himself to death. And about a decade later, someone else picked up the torch. In 1732, Sir Francis Dashwood resurrected the Hellfire Club, but under a new name, the Order of the Knights of St. Francis, among other names. Dashwood was originally notorious. His behavior was so outrageous that he had once been banned from the Papal States. He offended the Pope. So this time, membership was exclusive compared to the last time, with just 12 men, all powerful, all well-connected. Among them were John Wilkes, Paul Whitehead, and John Montague, the Earl of Sandwich. Even the Prince of Wales and Benjamin Franklin were later rumored to have attended. Their new headquarters became Mendmanham Abbey, nestled along the Thames in Buckinghamshire. Below the abbey, a network of caves and tunnels were carved deep into the earth. Officially, these tunnels expanded local chalk mines and created jobs, but above the entrance, carved in stone, was a chilling motto: "Do what thou wilt." The caves themselves were said to be inspired by the Eleusinian mysteries of ancient Greece, and inside were chambers with ominous names like the Triangle and the Inner Temple. There was also one called the Banqueting Hall. To reach the Inner Temple, one had to cross the River Styx. Only the highest ranking members were allowed beyond that point. So inside the caves, the activities continued much like before: mocking religion, dressing as monks, and performing satirical versions of Christian ceremonies. They were drunken feasts, gambling, and prostitutes. But rumors claimed much, much worse. Stories spread of violence, devil worship, and rituals dedicated to Bacchus and Venus. Some even whispered about human sacrifice. And here's where things get disturbing. There are no surviving first-hand accounts of what truly happened inside the caves. The secrecy of the club allowed imaginations to run wild, and members took their secrets to the grave. One of the only visual clues we have is a portrait of Sir Francis Dashwood painted by a fellow member. In it, Dashwood is dressed like a monk, a halo floating above his head, and inside the halo is the face of the Earl of Sandwich staring down at him. An open book appears to be a Bible, but on closer inspection, it is actually an erotic novel. The painting mocks the religious art that is depicting St. Francis of Assisi. So were these men truly performing dark rituals, or were they simply powerful elites indulging in blasphemous satire? But the club lasted roughly 30 years before fading away, but the reputation never did. So while Dashwood and his friends gathered beneath England, another Hellfire Club emerged in Ireland. In 1735, Richard Parsons formed his own version in Dublin, but unlike his English counterparts, Parsons was rumored to dabble in black magic. Near Montpelier Hill, up on a hill, stood an ancient burial site marked by a sacred stone cairn. William Connolly was considered the richest man in Ireland, and atop that hill, he built his summer lodge. The cairn was destroyed so the lodge could be built, and one of its stones was even used as a fireplace lintel. So locals believe that that land was cursed to begin with because they destroyed the cairn. So soon after it was all finished and built, the roof of the lodge was torn off by a violent storm that was said to be punished. They were being punished for destroying the cairn. So the building gained a terrifying reputation as the new home of the Hellfire Club. Letters from a member writing under the name Moloch described shocking acts, including the sacrifice of maidens and animals. Rumors claimed the leader dressed as Satan himself, and his empty place was always set at the table in case the devil chose to attend the meetings. There is at least one account of murder associated with this group. Sex and drinking was plentiful, but whether these men truly met at the lodge or favored a nearby tavern called the Eagle Tavern, the damage was done. The rumors took on a life of their own, and this in part is also since the original Hellfire Club creator, Philip the First Duke of Wharton, sold the property to the owners who were rumored to lease the lodge to the Hellfire Club. So today, the ruins of Montpelier Hill are said to be haunted. Visitors report a massive black cat that has been in many stories where people have died or been badly hurt. One person describes strange smells, an overwhelming heaviness in the air, and the feeling of always being watched. There's also a man in black that is believed to have been a priest. During a live paranormal investigation in 2010, a psychic reported a sharp stabbing sensation and blood appeared on her shirt. That's crazy. There have also been groups of figures seen gathered around the ruins. Some say the land itself is angry. But back in England, the Hellfire Caves have their own ghosts. Above the caves sits the Dashwood Mausoleum. It's rumored that Paul White had left money for his heart to be preserved after death in an urn at the mausoleum. In 1829, his heart was stolen, placed in the caves, and now legend says his spirit wanders the tunnels searching for it. There's also the White Lady. The lady is said to be a woman named Suki. It is reported that she was hit with stones after entering the cave, and she later died from her injuries, so she now also roams the dark tunnels. Paranormal investigators report strange lights, disembodied voices, children crying, figures resembling nuns deep underground. There have been strange mists seen and a feeling of being touched. In the inner chamber, Gregorian chanting has been heard. But today the caves are open to the public, and they're filled with wax figures attempting to recreate what may or may not have happened there. The tour guides have had many paranormal experiences. They report when they're on their own in the caves or when they have groups with them. The hill in Ireland is also able to be toured, but be warned that most of the activity occurs at night there. So were the Hellfire Clubs nothing more than rich men rebelling against religion? Or were they summoning something darker? We may never know, right? Paul Whitehead burned many of the club's records, sealing their secrets forever. So, and maybe that's exactly what they wanted. So, what do you think they were up to? I don't
Well,
know.
honestly, that I mean, the Gregorian chanting, right? Oh, hang on. Before any of that,
Mm-hmm.
out of all of that, I loved it. The Earl of Sandwich, the
Yes.
Duke of. Okay, so is Sandwich a town over in England? Because like I'm genuinely curious.
I think it is, honestly. Um,
I just out of all of
right.
that information, what stuck out to me the most was the Earl of Sandwich.
Right. Like he was a real
Not co-
person.
not copyright Disney World, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, they
Uh,
have a store there too, don't they?
yeah, Earl's literally the Earl of Sandwich. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
the actual. But anyways, okay, so you're telling me that not only is the Hellfire Club real, and of
Mm-hmm.
course I'm sure Stranger Things is like, oh hey, let's do a Hellfire Club here, let's do a research, right? So were any of them tied to like, I guess what you would call modern day Satanism, or like the fantasy of a satanic ritual? And when I say the fantasy of a satanic ritual, right, real
Mm-hmm.
satanic rituals, don't murder women. First of all, they don't, they don't. Um, the Church of Satan frowns upon it very much so.
Mm-hmm.
Um, were any of them tied to I guess the fantasy of Satanism of like what they imagined it to be, devil worshiping, sacrifices. I mean, do you think that that could like that was the whole reason of the Hellfire Club? Because Hellfire, Satan, hell itself.
Right. So I think so. I think they were just bucking against the Catholic Church, or the Church of England, actually, not the Catholic Church. Um, they were bucking against all the what they were allowed to do, what they weren't allowed to do, and they wanted to act like fools. So they just kind of took on that persona of Satan worshippers or what have you in England. Now, the Ireland one, I don't know. They say they were into black magic and stuff, so
I mean, black magic does have its cost. I mean, real magic. I mean, any spell you
yes.
cast. I mean, you knowing this, being that you're a practitioner, me being a practitioner, you know that if we decide to do something of evil intent, the rule of three applies. And for listeners, if you're not familiar with the rule of three, and I'm not saying, I'm not trying to persuade you to become a practitioner of witchcraft, but I'm just saying the general rule of three is anything you do comes back threefold on you, right? You point the finger, and if you look at your hand, there's three fingers pointing back at you. So, like, I, maybe they kind of sentence themselves to death essentially by practicing black magic. I mean, that's kind of what it sounds like. It just that's weird. That's a weird one. Good one, but weird one.
It is
I
weird.
like it.
One day I would love to go, and there's been all the big shows have been there in the Hellfire Caves. Not that many to the Hellfire in Ireland, but in the caves, they all the big shows have been there. It's just pretty crazy in there.
That is fair. That is absolutely fair. Well, I love that. That was actually pretty neat. I didn't, I've seen Hellfire Club, on Stranger Things, and I didn't think anything of
Right.
it, right? Knew nothing about it till you mentioned it.
Yeah.
But on that note, now it's time to travel to the other end of the world, right? Literally almost opposite side of the world, and we're going to be putting ourselves in California, specifically Monte Rio, California. And put yourself back in the year around 1878, right? Specifically 1878. So back in 1878, there was founded a private place, private gentleman's club, right? That's how everything starts, as a gentleman's club. Freemasons, gentleman's club, fucking whatever, gentleman's club. Everything's a gentleman's club, right? So,
Oh,
titties, beer,
yep.
drinking, sex, lust, what have you, right? Just like Hellfire Club. But this place was called the Bohemian Club. Now, each year in mid July, the Bohemian Grove hosts an annual gathering lasting more than 2 weeks, attended by invited members only and guests from politics, business, and the arts. So back in 1878, the very first gathering of the Bohemian Club happened by the founder of Henry Harry Edwards. So now Slater is moving to New York City to further his career. However, on June 29th, 1878, fewer than 100 Bohemians gathered in the redwoods of Marine County near Taylorville, present day Samuel P. Taylor State Park. So this is a state park. You can still go in the state park, of course, because it's not off limits, right? But back in the club in 1878, they had a few drinks. Edwards was talking about, maybe making this a bigger thing, right? An annual encampment. So annually, they would gather, right? In 1882, now we're skipping forward a couple of years, the club members camped together at several locations in Marine, Sonoma counties, including what is now Muir Woods. Uh, Mer, yeah, Muir. And a redwood grove near Duncan Mills alongside the Russian River. From 1893, the Bohemians rented the current site, and in 1899, they purchased it from Melvin Cyrus Meeker, who operated a lodging business in the area. Now, remember that name, Melvin Cyrus Meeker. He's going to actually become super important later on, right? So when he sold this he didn't think anything of it, right? He didn't think anything of this club. He thought it's just a gentleman's club. There's going to be debauchery there, drugs, sex, whatever. Guys are going to fight. It's fine as long as they stay within the premises. They're fine. All right. Fast forward a few more years, right? Now the Grove is known for hosting meeting related uh, ho- the Grove is now is blah, blah, blah. The Grove is known for hosting a meeting related to early planning of the Manhattan Project in September of 1942. Participants included Ernest Lawrence, J. Robert Oppenheimer, and if you know anything about J. Robert Oppenheimer, you know there's a movie based on him because he was, a nuclear physicist, Oppenheimer effect movie. But anyway, go read that super interesting book about his research and stuff. Anyways, along with members of the S1 Executive Committee and representatives from major universities, industries, and the U.S. military, even. Although Oppenheimer was not a member of the S1 committee at the time, he and Lawrence hosted the meeting. Discussions held there contributed to a broader development of the atomic bomb. So, this meeting in 1942 had nothing to do with the Gentlemen's Club except science. They were just a bunch of fucking nerds getting together, drinking, doing whatever, having a good time. Fast forward a few more years. Now we're fast forwarding about 8 years, right? So 8 years later, in July of 1950, we don't have an exact date. Um, Dwight Eisenhower and Richard Nixon, two very prominent political figures at the time, met each other for the first time as guests of former President Herbert Hoover at Caveman Camp, a section of the Bohemian Grove, at a small group lunch party with the host Hoover giving a toast and Eisenhower giving a short speech, followed by time spent around a campfire. Nixon, for his part, was in the middle of a successful Senate campaign, having impressed Hoover with his political ability, especially for playing a big role in taking down Alger Hiss for committing perjury against the House of Un-American Activities Committee concerning changes of having committee, espionage, and all that, right? So, of course, Eisenhower at the time was the president of Columbia of Uni. I am tripping tonight. Eisenhower at the time was the president of Columbia University, um, and he was the guest of honor as well. However, it was more his political future that interested the group of Hoover's associates and friends who were mostly old guard conservatives, including Hoover, who were more inclined to support Ohio Senator Robert Taft in the upcoming 52 presidential election, but were also interested in hearing what the potential future president had to say. So now, right, now in the 1950s, now we have political figures coming to this gentleman's club, right? Skull and Bone Society did it with the Bushes, uh, Washington's descendants, all kinds of that stuff, right? So now we're starting to see a secret society form of just political figures and those in power. Okay. There is actually a very prominent photo that follows 17 years later in 1967 with at the old Owl's Nest camp, which is the main camp of the Bohemian Grove, right? And it has in it Hotchkiss, which if you don't know who Preston Hotchkiss, God bless America, is, go look him up. Ronald Reagan, Richard Nixon, Glenn Seaborg, yet again a very another prominent person, Jack Sparks, Kevin Winter, and the unidentified individual. Now, you remember how I told you there was a name that was like super fucking important to remember? Like really, really important to remember? Remember, 1899, right? Melvin Cyrus Meeker. Okay? Sold it. Melvin at the time was probably only in his 30s. All right. So 1899 to 1917. Dude wouldn't have been what? Let's see here. He was in his 30s. So 1899 and 1967, right? To 67? Yeah. 67. Wow, that's not the right math to do. Yeah. Okay, so that would have been an extra 68 years. So he would have been like 98, right? The dude would have been 98. The man that's in the picture is a very old man. It is to believe to be Melvin himself at 98 years old, still attending the Bohemian Grove Gentlemen's Club. Now, here's where it gets a little weird, right? So political figures have gathered there. Everyone's gathered there, right? And, I kind of touched on it spans X amount of counties, X amount of areas in this part of California. Well, there were some very prominent, preeminent camps. So these were camps that were kind of already like very well known. The Hillbillies, the Mandalay, the Caveman. I remember Eisenhower and the other president met in the Caveman Camp. Caveman Camp was one of the very first camps. Of course, Stowaway, Uplifters, Owl's Nest. Yet again, Owl's Nest is the main camp of the Bohemian Grove. Hideaway, Isle of Aves, Lost Angels, not Los Angeles, because, City of Lost Angels, Los Angeles, Spanish. Silverado Squatters, the Sempervirens, the Hillside, and the Idlewild. Okay? Those were all the camps where all these people gathered. But here's where it gets freaky, right? So, yeah, this was a gentleman's club. Absolutely. However, the Owl's Nest gathered millions of people, thousands of people, right? Every year. Figures, artists, people that you wouldn't even think of would be there, right? Well, the Owl's Nest became the Grove stage. This is the main center stage in the Bohemian Grove where not only rituals would be performed, chants, sacrifices, blood pacts, and other occultist things would happen at this main stage. Now, the Owl's Nest is pretty well hidden nowadays. You can't exactly find it if you're looking for it, kind of thing. Like it's very well camouflaged, but there are YouTube videos supposedly of people exploring the Bohemian Grove and supposedly coming up on the Owl's Nest at night when no one's there at the Bohemian Grove. Well, there's always someone there at the Grove. No matter what you think, that grove is always occupied. Remember the camps? There's always someone in one of those camps. And those camps are no more than 5 miles, or yeah, no more than 5 miles away from the center stage. So Bohemian Grove, of course, is this big thing. Everyone gathers there like Skull and Bone Society, or yeah, Skull and Bone Society. Big underground thing for politicians, right? Well, this is for everyone, but this is only for the elite. It's said that in the dead of night, that you could hear chants. People used to be able to hear chants and singing and screaming from this place in the Bohemian Grove, and they couldn't figure out where it's coming from. Campers would say that they would see lights all around them in the early, 50s and 60s and 70s, but they couldn't figure out where they were coming from. As soon as they were seen, they were disappearing again. So there's something happening at the Bohemian Grove from the 19 essentially really it started showing up on the 1950s up to present day. The Bohemian Grove is still used to present day, at least as far as we know. Now, the kicker is there is a symbol that marks the Bohemian Grove. If you go into the forest, you go into the state park, and you walk around the main area of the grove, not center stage, but the main area of the grove, you will see a symbol. Now, that symbol was given to us by what is known as the club's patron saint, John Nepomuk. Okay, John Nepomuk was an artist, all right, and who, according to legend, died at the hands of the Bohemian monarch rather than disclose of the confessional secrets of the queen. So now not only do we have American political powers involved in the Bohemian Grove, but we have European political powers involved in the Bohemian Grove. So now it's a world thing. That's what I said. Thousands, millions of people probably gathered at this spot. Still to this day, he was essentially a whistleblower. John was the essential first whistleblower of the Bohemian Grove. He said something to someone, it caught wind, and he was killed. Straight up in the main stage as a sacrifice. To this day, they say you can still hear John's screams of agony and torture because the way they said that they killed him was an iron bowl. An iron bowl is an old medieval torture device that was used many, many years ago. And essentially, you are put in this brass cast iron bowl and you are burned and singed alive in the bowl. and the smoke and the steam and the smoke in your screams can be heard through the bull's nostrils. They can still hear a bull screaming in the Bohemian Grove. Now, here's the other thing, right? So this is what the craziest part for me is. There are four major, of course, two I've already talked about, two major political figures, but there are two other major political figures, and I guess artist figures that have been tied to the Bohemian Grove, and they have claimed that they have sold their soul to the devil at the Grove. So they whistleblowed on the Grove. Number one, and not everyone you all might know them, you might not, but their name is on a list, and I do have the list here in front of me. So we already know two. The third is George Ives. Now, if you don't know who George L. Ives is, right? He is the supposed uncle married into the family, not blood, uncle related of Johnny Ives. Now, who is Johnny Ives? Johnny Ives is currently the CEO of Apple. The CEO of Apple has ties to the Bohemian Grove thanks
Huh.
to a family member, right? So George Ives is a political figure, very small political figure, but nothing, super super crazy. And actually, you know what? This last one is, I guess he's a political figure, but not necessarily. I mean, I guess he's done some politics, right? Um, he is, you know, as far as I know, this dude is this dude is still alive. So I might be hunted for this one, but um, Sean O'Keefe, Sean O'Keefe, who was, and I'm not going to say where he did his political agenda, but I will say it was in the state of Louisiana. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to give out too much about him because I don't want y'all, getting the wrong idea. This doesn't necessarily make him a bad person, but he has straight up, these people have straight up admitted, yes, I've sold my soul to the devil at the Bohemian Grove. He won't admit it, right? Like blatantly won't, but there have been reports, interviews, all that kind of stuff. Um, the last time he served was in 2008. So that was 20 something years ago, give or take 20, 22 years ago, right? And, just saying, just saying. So there's that. Also, there's a whole list you all can look up online. You can see some very, very interesting people. There's some people that are not on here that have had ties to the Bohemian Grove, such as, and this one broke me. This one absolutely broke me. Mr. Rogers has ties to
No.
the Bohemian Grove. Yes, the only thing that he has ties, the only reason he has ties is because he was invited by a presidential candidate, right? Back at the time, he was invited by a presidential candidate. He went and then he left. So he didn't partake in any of the activities or festivities, I guess you could say, that the Grove had planned for him. But he
Mm.
also, after that, he ended his show. Shortly after his visit, he ended his show. So you tell me that there's not a correlation there. You can't tell me that someone at the Grove knew that Mr. Rogers was going to say something. The actor who played Mr. Rogers was going to say something. You couldn't tell me that there is not a coincidence. Like, there is definitely, I feel like that, I know it's a conspiracy theory. I swear to God, it's a fucking conspiracy theory, but I feel and swear to God that those two correlate so damn well because he was invited, went, left. No more than a week later, his show was canceled. His show went off
Now,
air.
you know we love conspiracy theories here. So,
I'm aware. I'm aware. Just like I have a million conspiracy theories. Oh God, we can make a whole episode on conspiracy theories. Like this one will get me. This one will get me canceled. All right, here's a conspiracy theory, off topic, but let's go with it. Right?
right.
9/11, one of the worst tragedies in United States American history.
Yeah.
Was planned. 100% was planned.
Yep.
I'm just saying. And steel does not burn with jet fuel.
Nope.
Steel does not melt with jet fuel. Just, I'm just putting that out there. Y'all formulate your own thoughts on that one. I'm just saying. There's there's something to that. There's something. Oh, and the pyramids were not built by aliens. I don't think they were, because here's the thing: Egyptians knew math really fucking well. Really fucking well. I don't think they were built by aliens. I think it was advanced engineers that had, at the time, their version of modern technology, that helped form the pyramids. That's just that. Those are my theories. But the only one I can't truly say is what is that? The Great Sphinx, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How the hell do you do the Great Sphinx?
Yeah.
What fucking ropes? No, can't hang off a rope off the Sphinx. Well, I guess you could. But anyways, so what's your thoughts on the Bohemian Grove? Sorry, tangent.
So, um, let's go back to Sandwich for a second. It is a town in Kent. That's where the name came
Oh,
from. Yeah. And the 11th Earl of Sandwich partnered to create the restaurant chain. So there's that.
oh,
Um,
nice.
you were talking about how political people were involved with the Grove, and I forgot to mention that Benjamin Franklin was part of the Hellfire Clubs.
What?
Yes.
Was Thomas Jefferson too? Because he traveled over to Europe. He traveled to France.
Um, I'm not sure. They didn't mention Jefferson, but Franklin was definitely mentioned in the research. Um, did you also know that during the cremation of Care at the Grove, the owl, the voice of the owl was Walter Cronkite for a long time.
What?
Yeah.
I did not know that one. That is news to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was essentially a theatrical play that was put on to
Yes.
essentially throw off the the scent of the Grove is sinister.
Right. Right. It was their theatrical way to, be like, hey, we're just doing this thing, nothing to see here. But all those people that attended that, because guests could go to that, and they all, not all, but a lot of the people that were there said it looked very much ritualistic, not just a little play.
I mean, they're. I think next week's episode needs to be conspiracy theories.
I love it.
I think that's
They made that movie, Late Night with the Devil,
yes,
about
I've heard of that.
yes, they made it about that same sort of premise that you just talked about, Mr. Rogers.
Yes, let me see here. Is that on Netflix?
I'm not sure where I saw it, but my son made me watch it.
It is. It is. Oh, it's on Hulu. Oh, it's on Hulu. Guess what I'm watching tonight?
It's just, just like you were talking about with how he went, he was involved or whatever, and there was a lot of strings being pulled behind the scenes. So I don't know. Watch it and tell me what you think about it.
Oh, I absolutely real, but real. God, I can't talk tonight. But yeah, so I think next week's episode definitely needs to be conspiracy theories because I have a buttload of conspiracy theories. Some are controversial,
Mm-hmm.
others might get me canceled, and some I have been yelled at for. Specifically the 9/11 one. I have been yelled at over that. I have been screamed at. I have lost friends over that conspiracy theory, but I stand my fucking ground. I
I
do.
mean, you're not denying that it happened. It
Now, I'm not
happened,
denying that it happened.
right? Like it
Yeah,
happened. So why would people not want to be your friend over it? It happened, but who was behind it? That's the question.
Bush.
Right.
I think the Bushes, and the only reason they were behind it, because isn't that the same year, or was it the year prior that we killed Osama bin Laden? That we had Operation whatever kill Osama bin Laden. Wasn't that the same? Well, or within that time span of frame of the mid 2000s?
No, because um it was Obama who killed bin
Oh yeah, it
Laden.
was Obama who killed. Yeah, so it
Mhm.
was after. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, so it was way after.
He
So,
was
but
the
still, I
start
think
of it. He was like
yes,
bin Laden was supposedly the start of that whole situation.
yeah, I absolutely think the Bushes 100% are the reason that 9/11 happened. I think George W. Bush, right, the day that he was told that, the day that it happened, he had no expression on his face. Actually, no, he had an expression, but it was okay, cool,
Mm,
thanks. That was it was like no like fear, right? So the United States is under attack, right? Supposedly from, Osama bin Laden,
mhm.
right? And he had no. I 100% think
See,
George Bush is the reason that 9/11
I
happened.
think it
And
goes
you,
farther than that. I think it goes, if you want to talk conspiracies, let's talk about the shadow government. I think
yes,
it goes farther than that. Like the people that you see that you think are making decisions, I don't believe they're actually making the decisions. I think the money is making the decisions, and these people in these secret societies are pulling strings, like the Rothschilds, and the list
hmm
goes on and on and on.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Okay, we got a great episode then next time we release, folks. We have an absolute amazing episode. This is going to be great. Please do not forget to like, share, do whatever you want. We are working on a YouTube channel, by the way.
We are.
We're currently in the works of that. You won't see our faces. You will just see pictures of the things that we discuss and articles and links. So we are working on that. We are strictly we're still waiting for we're working with Apple. I think that is the next podcast. So if you are on Apple Podcast, absolutely. We'll be there eventually. But right now we are strictly on Spotify, Facebook, TikTok, um, Instagram.
Instagram. Yep.
Yep. Yeah. We haven't gone on X yet, I don't think. Are we on X yet?
No, we're not.
We are
Not
not on
yet.
X. So we're not we're not on porn, people, I promise. You're not gonna see any porn. The feet pics are not free, baby. That is $5,000 a foot pic. And that is $1,000 a toe. I'm holding to that. You will not see a toe unless you pay $1,000. And this toe has been stubbed by Lego bricks, dogs, wood, and everything else. Um, so it's a little
Same.
gangly. It's a little gangly. I don't know if it'll turn you on, but if it does, I mean, more power to you. You fucking sicko. No, I'm kidding.
Hey.
we don't we don't kink shame here. We don't
Exactly.
kink shame. This is a safe space, I promise. But yes, so yet again, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you all listening. And share our podcast throughout, link it on Facebook, do whatever. Thank you for watching the TikToks, by the way. We've been gaining a lot of attraction from that. I mean, a
Yes.
lot of attraction. So, keep sharing those TikToks. Keep posting them, reposting them, share them with your friends. The more you all share it, the more people that can enjoy the podcast, and you can have someone to talk to and be like, "Did you hear that fucking idiot Gray? He fucking said 9/11 is a fucking conspiracy. Fuck that guy." But or it could be like, "Did you know the Bohemian Grove really exists?" And like now they go out and try to find the Bohemian Grove, they get arrested because
And
you will get arrested.
we can build a whole community around this. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Like,
We
share.
yeah. I love it. Think about it this way, people. Think about it this way, right? You're sitting in your room late at night. You want to listen to something spooky or conspiracy, whatever. I don't judge. And you just scroll through TikTok, and all of a sudden you hear our voices come up, and it's like, "Did you hear about the Bohemian Grove?" That's the first thing you're gonna do. That's the last thing you're gonna listen to at night. You're gonna be like, "I'm gonna share that." Here, mom. And well, if your mom's dead, that's here. Nah, if they're dead too. Here, well, they might be dead. Fuck it. Share it with yourself. If everyone's dead, share it with yourself. I hope they're not, but make new friends over this. This is a big community, so do remember that. I would, we greatly appreciate you all talking to us on Facebook, commenting, everything like that. Engage with us. Talk with us. If you have something really weird or paranormal, or it's a phenomenon that you can't explain, share it with us. Tell us on Facebook. Tell it. You can comment on our Spotify, by the way. I don't know if any of you know this, but we have a comment section on Spotify that you can just like tap and comment and be like, yeah, I heard about this. And we will absolutely see it. We see every single comment, like, share, repost that you all do, right? We are fully engaged. We don't have AI robots doing our shit for us. That's
Nope.
not who we are. So even though we work 40, 50 hours a week, we see this, right? We keep up with this. So, yet again, thank you so much. If you have any further questions or anything, you want to share anything, please let us know. Please reach out to us via our social that I have mentioned. And we hope that you enjoyed the episode. And tune in next time for the conspiracy theories that turn the globe, or as the globe, or that are behind the door of the skeleton. You know what? Just get the skeleton key and open the goddamn door. Just open the fucking door. Like, the key's here. Just open the door, please, for the love of all that is holy. Thank you again. Of course, I always am Gray, joined by the lovely Christina,
Hello.
and we hope you have a wonderful night.
Good night.
Bye bye.